Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you another of my classic Jean-Claude Van Damme reviews. Today I'm taking a look at his 1994 video game adaptation, Streetfighter. The film is written and directed by Steven E. D'Souza and stars, of course, Van Damme. We have Raul Julia, Ming-Na Wen, Damien Chapa, Kylie Minogue, and Simon Callow. Right. Where do you start with this one? Okay, right. We have Raul Julia's Bison, who is a brutal dictator of a fictional country. We have Colonel Guile, played by Van Damme, who is trying to take down his brutal regime, and he is joined along the way by many familiar faces from the gaming franchise. There's nothing else really I can say about the story because the film doesn't have one, and that's just simple facts. It is as complex as I've just mentioned. Right, what are my thoughts on Street Fighter? Well, when I first saw this, I can only be honest, when I first saw this back in the day, I was horrified. I mean, it was awful. It was truly awful. I couldn't believe that it got made back in. I mean, this was to me when he was absolutely at the height of his fame, Van Damme. I understand maybe why he'd want to do it, and maybe others. You know, they'd done Mortal Kombat, which he was offered a part in. I think they based Johnny Cage on Van Damme in Mortal Kombat games. And the first time I watched it, I was shocked as to how bad I thought the film was. Now, I haven't watched much of this film since, but I thought it's time to revisit this for my Van Damme reviews. So I've rewatched this one now, and, well, it's still terrible, isn't it, really? There's no other way to put it. It kind of falls into the category almost of it's so bad it's good. And there are some bright moments here in this film, and by that I mean Raul Julia as Bison, who is fantastic. He chews every single scene that he's in. He owns this film. He is by a country mile the best thing about this film. And he was ill when he made this because he passed away soon after as well, because the film is actually dedicated to him. So he went out with a bang, I think you could say. It's not really an impressive film for him to have on his filmography, maybe, but he's great in it, and he's just over the top. A wonderful performance by him. Everybody else, not so much. I think Ming-Na Wen was a regular on the TV show ER. She was terrified, I think, after doing this film that her career was over. Thankfully, it wasn't. Not that she went on to do a huge amount, I don't believe. But, yeah, I think she was worried, and George Clooney kind of reassured her at the time and said, look, I did a Killer Tomatoes film. Don't worry about it, love. So... yeah, it's an absolute mess, this film. Even though there are characters you recognise from the games in this film, they are as far away from those characters as you could possibly make them. Certainly most of them, anyway. Ken and Ryu, they're just like frat boys, really. I really struggled with this film. I really, really struggled with it. Van Damme as well apparently was a real pain in the arse on this film. He was, I think, obviously was at the height of his fame, and his ego had certainly got the better of him by this point. He was turning up late, not turning up at all. He had a really bad cocaine habit while they were making this. So it wasn't a pleasant experience apparently working with Van Damme on this. Doesn't surprise me by the sounds of it. And he doesn't do a lot in this film, Van Damme, really, other than make a few speeches. and do a couple of kicks here and there. But nobody does anything in this film of note. And I think the problem is with this. Part of the problem is obviously it's how the characters are written, which is absolutely appalling. But there's too many. I think the smarter thing to do was to have less characters in it and give them more to do. They try and stuff as many characters in as humanly possible into this film from the games, and most of them have got very, very little to do. That adds absolutely nothing to the film overall. And criminally, in my opinion, the worst thing about this film is the fight scenes are terrible. And if you can't get the fight scenes and the fight choreography right in a Street Fighter film, then you have really got problems. And they don't get it right. They really don't. So the action's not really very good. The martial arts isn't really very good. The story is horrifically bad. The performances are really bad. Kylie Minogue's in this. I mean, that's not an endorsement, is it? At the time when she wasn't even considered cool. You know what I mean? This is the Kylie Minogue from her, fairly early in her pop career, I think you could say. So definitely not the cool Kylie Minogue. And apparently her and Van Damme had a bit of a fling on set. Okay. Yeah. It's not even like entertaining accidentally, really, this one. And that scene at the end, we're looking at it right now, I believe, the picture where they all do that horrific pose at the end of the film and then the Street Fighter logo comes up. Oh, it gives me goosebumps, it's that bad. I remember watching it for the first time, especially that scene, and my jaw was just hitting the floor. I was that stunned as to how shit it was. So, yeah, while this is in the category of a classic Jean-Claude Van Damme film, it's not really a classic. It's not aged particularly well. And it's just, well, it's not a very good film, is it? Let's be honest, guys. There's some charm in it. Raul Julia's very, very entertaining in it. There are some so bad it's good moments in it, and it is an interesting film to watch. Just that it exists, really. You're watching it and you're just like, is this for real? They spent a lot of money on this as well, and it was a theatrical release, and it actually made money. I think it cost 35 million to make, and I think it more than doubled its budget. Staggeringly, I don't know how, but it did. So it's not what you would describe as like a financial failure, but it's definitely an entertaining failure. That's for my perspective anyway. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on this film, guys. Maybe some of you out there that absolutely love this film. I'd love to hear it if you do. I really, really struggled with this one, even for nostalgia reasons, because I didn't even like it the first time round. So yeah, thanks for checking out this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I will of course be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.